Hello, my viewers and subscribers. Welcome to another episode of Jamaica Politics University. Guys, I'm here today to give you some information which you probably didn't know before. I've done a video previously about how Mark Golding's father came to Jamaica. I told you guys that he arrived in Jamaica in 1953 on the Queen's Gothic ship. So I told you the how, and today I'm going to tell you the why. Why Sir John Golding came to Jamaica in 1953. So in Britain, a bill passed called the Colonial Development and Welfare Bill, and the first bill was introduced largely in connection with the unemployment problem in Britain and was aimed mainly at stimulating colonial development. You can also see at UWI where a study was done on colonial development and welfare in Jamaica, 1938 to 62. A study of the social and economic effects in Jamaica of the Colonial Development and Welfare Acts of 1940, 45, and 55. So in this study, the Colonial Development and Welfare in Jamaica, it starts with a brief comment on the distress in the West Indies, culminating in the riots of 1938, which both produced a nationalist political party in Jamaica and the first effective trade union, and induced the British government to appoint the West India Royal Commission, headed by Lord Moyne, to investigate the situation in the West Indies. As a result of the Colonial Development Act and the report from Mr. Moyne, the imperial government set up a development organization with headquarters in Barbados, headed by a series of controllers. Initially, Sir Frank, it was the only regional development authority of its kind in the colonial empire and was in existence until the inception of the abortive West Indian Federation in 1957. Approximately £9 million were spent on a series of projects intended to promote economic and social development in Jamaica in the period between the Second World War and the coming of independence in 1962. This report, done at UWI, attempts to assess the effects of the aid on the Jamaican economy and social structure. It examines a case history of international aid in terms of the economic development of one country. Guys, if you want more information on this study, check with UWI. You should be able to get it electronically online, and I would encourage you to read it. As you guys know, with the Federation in the West Indies, it ended up collapsing. It lasted from about 1958 to 1962. The intention of the Federation was to bring the colonies together and set up kind of a committee where they would talk about ideas on how to self-govern and become independent from Britain, being this one unit overseeing the colonies. If you remember, with Norman Manley, there was a referendum in Jamaica to leave the Federation because it became chaotic and for many reasons, but it ended up collapsing. You guys can go and do some searches on why the Federation was set up and how it collapsed. Norman Manley was about self-governance. He was anti-colonial, and that was his son's position as well as the politics evolved in Jamaica. So with the Colonial Development Act and allocation of fund and attempt at development, then came UWI Mona. And this campus was chosen not just for its location, a plateau in the arms of the mountains on the outskirts of the city of Kingston, but also because it came with basic but usable accommodations built during World War II, 1938 to 1945, when the site was wartime camp. I told you guys this before in another upload about the Gibraltar camp, as it was known. It offered refuge to evacuees from the British island fortress of Gibraltar at the tip of Spain, and eventually to Jewish refugees marooned in Spain and Portugal. There was even a civilian internment camp on the site in 1943. So the barrack-style buildings constructed to house these long-stay visitors, they were there the entire time during the war, became the university's offices, lecture rooms, labs, and so forth and so on, before the construction of new buildings started in the early 1950s. In 1944, when the bulk of the evacuees were returned home to Gibraltar, and when many of the refugees had found onward locations, the camp was taken over by the military authorities, the Jamaica Battalion, the Home Guard, a Royal Air Force transit camp, and eventually an ex-servicemen's training facility were all located in the vicinity at various times during the period of 1944 to 1947. The camp was handed over from the military to the Public Works Department and then on to what was then known as the University College of the West Indies at the end of December 1947. And after swift work to reconfigure the buildings to suit the needs of the university, the UCWI welcomed its first students of 23 men and 10 women in 1948. The university's establishment, however, had been recommended in 1945 by the Irving Committee, which spent 3 months touring the region and hearing from various interests in early to mid-1944. The committee, chaired by Sir James Irving of St. Andrews University in Scotland, was part of the wider Asquith Commission investigating calls for higher education in the British colonies. The Irving Commission recommended a single regional university with medicine as the first focus, but a speedy broadening of the academic offering. The institution was to have a royal charter and to be fully residential, the better to fulfill its role of developing a cadre of young West Indians. To build academic credibility, it was to be apprenticed for some time to a known institution that would grant external degrees. This was the origin of its early name, the University College of the West Indies, the parent institution being the University of London. After much deliberation and taking into account factors including population and facilities, the Commission recommended that the location be in Jamaica. So the university achieved independent degrees granting status in 1962 as the University of the West Indies. By then, the university had acquired the Imperial College of Tropical Agriculture of St. Augustine in Trinidad, which became its second campus. A College of Arts and Science, established in Barbados in 1963, eventually grew into the third campus. The Colonial Development Act. Mark Golding's father, Sir John Golding, an orthopedic surgeon, was sent to Jamaica to pilot this developmental project at the university and the hospital on that campus. The Colonial Masters, they were already familiar with the location of the UWI campus and hospital because, like I said, of the previous event of the refugee camp with the people from Gibraltar being there. So that is the history of why Mark Golding's father, Sir John Golding, went to Jamaica. And I told you how he went to Jamaica. If you haven't seen that video, take a look at it. Sir John Golding's son, Mark Golding, who was born in Jamaica, according to Mark Golding, says that he now wants to be the Prime Minister of Jamaica. And he is a British citizen, and he does not want to give up his British citizenship. He wants to hold dual citizenship, dual allegiance, and at a time when Jamaica is looking to decolonize and be its own head of state. Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, said that he does not believe that the leader of the country, that the Prime Minister of the country should have dual allegiance, dual adherence, dual citizenship to another country because of the various conflicts of interest that exist. Former Prime Minister of Jamaica, P.J. Patterson, also publicly stated the same thing in a public discussion forum at the university campus about 3 weeks ago. The topic of discussion was about Jamaica's constitution, as Jamaica is looking to move to a republic. The constitutional reform discussion is still taking place, and the government just recently engaged the Jamaican diaspora in Jamaica, and discussions were also had about Jamaica's road to republic. It is a biannual conference. It was a successful conference. 1,200 registered attendees. And of course, more people attended than those who registered. So the conversation was broad. They talked about national development. Of Jamaica. They talked about, important topics such as, the development aspect where crime, healthcare, jobs, growth, education, and the recent reform that is about to take place, and the topic of decolonization. So, my friends, these are very interesting times in Jamaica, very exciting times if you are pro-Jamaica and if you are excited to see Jamaica evolve and take this next step in her journey and her history. You are listening to Jamaica Politics University. Make sure that you keep it locked here and you are subscribed, you have your notification on, and you're tuning in to what we are saying on this channel. Please invite your friends. I'll see you in the next video.